Hey, Jeff fans, what's going on? Day 3 in the books, and this was a hot one. I am sweating my ass off right now. It was not fun out there, but I still enjoyed every second of it. The team was back in pads today, which was pretty cool to see. This was also the first day that the fans were out there, so they were fired up. They were pretty excited. Some JETS chants were going back and forth. For those that have been going to camp for a while, I'm sure you guys all know Cuz. He was in mid-season form. Ripping into all the players if they dropped a punt or committed a penalty and stuff like that. So it was just a good atmosphere, a good time. A few big takeaways, and I'm going to start with Gase and the offense. And I'll say this is probably the first time in I don't know how long, probably ever, or going back to the 90s, where I've been at training camp and within like the first few days, the offense looks significantly further ahead than the defense. And I know we've had so many defensive coaches over the last few years, and that's a big reason for that. But it almost seems like generally in most camps, you need the offense to have some more time to be able to build that chemistry before they start performing. And it just seems like right away, these guys have some chemistry. They're clicking. They're on the same page with Adam Gase and the offense that he's trying to install. It's not like we're seeing a lot of, miscommunications or guys not running the right route, or offensive line breakdowns and things like that. They're looking pretty sharp so far on offense. And again, I know it's only day 1 in pads, 3rd day overall, but it's nice to see that. And it was also really nice to see at one point during special teams drills, Adam Gase had about a 5-minute conversation with Jamal Adams. And you could see just by the way they were like using hand signals, they were discussing like different coverages. And so that kind of like tells me that Adam Gase, being the offensive mind that he is seeing something that, the secondary maybe isn't doing right, and how he would exploit that as an offensive mind. And so the fact that he's engaging with the defense and being hands-on, coaching them as well, that's what you want in your head coach. And that's what we haven't had. We've had defensive coordinators disguised as head coaches that, sometimes they take the hands-off approach, let the offensive guys do it. Sometimes they take a hands-on approach when they don't know what they're doing. It actually seems like Gase, he knew what he was doing. After he was done talking with Jamal, he was talking with Tremaine Johnson. Looked like kind of the same things, like, where they were talking about body positioning and, leverage and all that. So it's just good to see a guy that looks like he's trying to oversee the entire team and not just one side of the ball. A few players that stood out today. I'll start in the backfield because the Jets are absolutely loaded. Le'Veon Bell, he was only out there during the team drills for, I'd say, maybe the first 3 plays. The crowd went nuts on his first reception from Darnold. Then after that, he had a run for probably about 15 yards. Crowd went nuts again, gave him a standing ovation. After that, there was like one incomplete pass that was thrown his way. And then we really didn't see him much for the remainder of practice. And that really wasn't a huge surprise, considering Gase already acknowledged that they were going to be mindful of his workload throughout camp. So with that being said, it's so awesome to see guys like Ty Montgomery, Eli McGuire, and even Trenton Cannon today had a huge practice. I know it would be rare to see 5 running backs make the team, considering, I think Powell's going to make it as well. But Trenton Cannon, I think he's going to have a role on special teams, and it's really hard to imagine Adam Gase not finding a way to utilize Trenton Cannon's speed, because he is absolutely dusting linebackers that are put on him. You cannot put a linebacker on Trenton Cannon because he will expose them. He will burn them. So I think that's something that Adam Gase is going to want to have in his offense, the ability to do that. Same thing with McGuire, a little bit less speed, but he had one really nice back shoulder catch today, just really showing solid hands, nice moves after the catch. Ty Montgomery, he looks good burst up the middle, also good hands, good speed. So I think the Jets have a ton of weapons. We already see Darnold developing that chemistry with Jamison Crowder. Tyson in his last video made a great point, talking about Wayne Corbett, how he was, Mr. Reliable for all those years on 3rd down. And, the Jets haven't really had a guy like that, maybe since Jericho Cotchery, but, I think Crowder is really going to be a huge weapon for Darnold, and somebody that he relies on in big spots. So, we'll see what happens on defense. Quinnen Williams today, he was getting a lot of reps with the 2nd team. Jachai Polite, he's still been getting a lot of reps with the 3rd team. Haven't really seen a whole lot of action from him yet. It looks like they're kind of easing him in. The rest of the draft picks, Edoga and Blake Cashman, they saw some work with the 2s as well. Rontez Miles continues to start at safety opposite Jamal Adams with Marcus May, not taking contact or anything yet. Who else am I forgetting? I'm trying to remember, because again, it's still in the early portion of practice where you're trying to get used to the substitutions and whether or not coaches are actually putting guys with the first team, or if they're just trying to get a look at guys in a certain number of plays and see if they might have a package for them with the starters. So the wide receivers were getting rotated around a lot. Guys like Quadri Henderson, he made some plays. Who else was it? Josh Bellamy, he was out there making a few plays. Jerome Peak had a nice catch at one point, a good run after the catch. He could be a guy that makes the team just due to special teams alone. I think they have a lot of guys at wide receiver that aren't really known, but if you're talking about having an offense that's featuring Le'Veon Bell with 3 other receivers in Quincy Crowder and Robbie Anderson plus Herndon, to take pressure off another guy, maybe like Burnett or somebody else, I think you could have a guy like that who's going to see single coverage all day because you have other weapons to use. So, we'll see how that battle plays out. Trayvon Wesco had a huge block on somebody. I think it was on a run that sprung Trenton Cannon, because again, he had a huge day today, just showing off the speed. Really like what he's bringing to the table. Jets are definitely going to need a kicker. I'm already on the free Ross Martin campaign. I know Tyson's been on that for the last 3 years. The guy earned his spot first off in training camp 3 years ago or 2 years ago, whenever the last time it was that he was in camp. The only reason he didn't get the job, they said, was because of his kickoffs. And in today's era, boot the ball out of the end zone and go to work at the 25. I think it's a little bit more important that you have a guy that can kick field goals in big spots. And so, I know he hasn't really done it in games or anything, but he's got the leg. You see him, he's working hard. I would much rather go with a young kid like him over, somebody like Catanzaro, who, thus far has not really looked all that great. But it is early, so I'm not going to overreact. I'm not going to flip out. You want to give these guys a chance to, get used to the swing of things and, get back into form. So we'll see if Catanzaro picks it up. Again, he was good here his first time around, so I'm not going to go crazy yet, but definitely not a strong start for him. Other than that, we'll pay attention to a lot of other guys tomorrow. If there's somebody in particular that you guys want to see, let me know. Leave it in the comment section. I'll do my best tomorrow to pay attention to some other guys. Obviously, these first few days, it's been watching Darnold a lot, seeing what he's doing, what that person was doing. So yeah, stay tuned. Again, we'll be out there tomorrow. Go Jets. Talk to you guys soon.